Bingo.
Hey. Oh.
Welcome. Oop. And now that's welcome. Now, wait.
Wait, what?
Is there no card? Oh, there's a card.
There's a card.
3, 2, doink.
Hey.
There. Now we doinked
Now there's a
it.
card.
Oh, we got a couple people watching us live. Hello. Howdy
Thank you
do.
for joining us. I'm going to be upfront about a couple things. I like this show. I
Yeah.
like doing it. I like doing comics. I also like the decorations Sam did for our set. I like that things are a little bit festive. I'm going to be honest with you. These lights and this stuff, this is my happy place. This stuff, I haven't been able to enjoy this stuff as much as I want to this year.
Yeah, it's been a little crazy.
But it gives me good feelings. My tree's definitely going to stay up well into January just because it's like, no, I haven't been able to enjoy this as much as I want.
Man, so many people were like, always would like judge my family because it'd be like, why is your tree still up in July? It's like, well, here's the thing. Our family's way bigger than all of yours. So shush up.
Yeah.
And also, who doesn't like Christmas?
Is that a weird like flex? Like, we have more people in our family than yours, so calm down.
Or it's a little hard to get things happening.
Gotcha,
So we're just
gotcha,
going to go
gotcha.
ahead and stick with
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It would go down in like July and then it'd be back up in November. And you're like,
Yeah.
it's up longer than it's down. There also was a wreath on the Captain America shield, but it kept falling. So, oof.
Well,
That's an oof from us.
To be fair, there's not really anything to
Hold on to. Oh.
It's the end of the year. You know what?
We're close. But hey, MV357 and Caitlin Conway, I haven't even had a time to put my tree up yet. It's okay.
It's a bummer.
You got 2 weeks too, so take your dang time. I don't understand people who take it down day of. Those people like of Christmas, they're like, no, already put it out on the if they get like a live one, they already put it out for the like trash guys to get it. I'm like, why? Why so quick?
If I feel like it's important to get it down earlier, I'll at least wait till Three Kings Day.
What is Three Kings Day?
So I don't know the specifics. It's a Hispanic thing, so it's part of my wife's tradition. So it's when you celebrate when the three kings were supposed to have arrived to give Jesus their gifts, and it's usually celebrated with Three Kings bread that has a little toy baby Jesus in there. And if your piece has that, you have to either make the bread or make a meal the next year. That's your responsibility.
Oh.
So it's not really a gift. It's kind of like punking you into a chore.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like it's like, hey, it's celebration. I feel like the little figurine Jesus is a little blasphemous, but whatever. I mean, you know, what do I know? It's just.
I think also if you couldn't trust Americans with Kinder eggs, only you can trust them with bread with a little tiny toy baked into
But
it.
again, it's a Mexico thing, so you know what I mean.
They got a little bit of a handle more on the edible.
The guardrails are off in Mexico, you know.
Edible toys.
But yeah, so that's in like mid-January, something like that. I'm sounding real stupid right now.
I didn't know about it,
yeah.
so I'm the dumbest one.
So I at least keep it up for that because mostly I just want an excuse to keep the tree.
My sister, so I thought Elf on a Shelf was like an older tradition that I just didn't know about. And no, it's newer. It's like a newer thing that people do. My sister and her husband have so much fun hiding it and like making like little scenes for like the kids. Like, gotta go find him. Like he's up to mischief. And they also do the Christmas pickle, like that one.
Yeah.
At first, I was like,
It's where you have to like find it on the tree, and then the person that finds it on the tree gets a
an extra present.
Gets a pickle.
It's a live pickle
Yeah.
that you get to go bury, and then you dig it up, and then you hide the
There's
pickle
got to
next
be a
year.
Pickle Rick ornament.
Yeah, there is.
That you have to find the pickle.
Yeah, that's basically how Rick and Morty's going to get all their funding for next year, for next season. But yeah, we're talking about all the newest comics of the year.
Yes.
MV5357, we used to do something similar on Mardi Gras or Fat Tuesday. No idea why we did it.
Okay, hold on. I just, you said something, and I think because we're going to be going on a break here soon.
Yeah.
I think next week we should do a comic roundup.
Oh, good call.
For the year.
There's a lot of good.
Yeah.
And also I'll talk about like best comics, new comics of the year, but also ones maybe we just read in
That
our
happens to
spare
me
time.
every time I think about like what are my favorite TV series of the year. Usually there's at least one that it's like it's been gone for 5 years, but I just found it, so it's exciting. Like for
Just
me,
found Lost.
for me this year it's The Expanse. I'm like, The Expanse is amazing. It's like it's been amazing for 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, well I didn't know.
I didn't know. Letter 44. Can't wait to talk about that because the more I read
when
it.
was that published? 1995.
Let's do a quick Google search. Actually, no. It's supposed to be like a look back at the beginning of Obama's administration with different presidents and stuff. And boy, howdy, does it go crazy. They're going to be releasing next July a full like book of the whole thing, which is cool.
I got one of those for Stray Bullets, and it's like huge. That thing is a doorstop.
This is really good. I'm trying to find. Well, I'll find it. But anyways, guys, while I look for Letter 44 info, oh god damn it,
just give it to me. Let's talk about comics.
Yeah, let's talk about
comics. So
the newest comics.
We're going to. You want to start with DC?
Yeah, let's talk about the newest comics from DC.
Before we get to the big one, let's do a couple of the smaller releases. Oh, everything's all whatever. I know what the DC books are because I got the Batman ad on the back.
There you go.
So we're going to talk about Batman Damned, but if you don't mind, before that, you bailed on Electric Warriors.
Ooh, pretty quick, yeah. But I didn't realize how short of a mini-series, but I know that Steve Orlando loves his big ideas, and I've been burned on about 50% of them.
Gotcha. Well, I love his writing in this. I love the concept. I love what they're doing. I will say, I think the art, it's crazy because Travel Foreman, and he's also doing Marvel Knights.
There you go.
I was like, sorry.
No idea.
There's like a honking sound that was like throwing me off. Anyway, and so maybe he's just doing too many things at once. But there's a lot of fighting in this issue, and it just doesn't quite have the, I don't know, the punch I want it to have. Like, there's cool visuals like this because his War Cry's powers are sound based. So I don't know. I love the writing. I love the setup. I just feel like the art isn't quite doing the trick for me. I wish I had an artist whose action was a little bit more dynamic.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely battling that. But we both read Superman issue 6 from Brian Michael Bendis.
You know something that's weirding me out about Superman is I feel like the covers are always like an issue ahead.
Yeah.
Because last issue was Superman and Zod teaming up, which is this issue, and then the tease of this issue is next issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Which
it's like,
it's kind of an interesting way to advertise it. Letter 44, by the way, I've just found an IO9 article from 2013. Read the first issue of Letter 44, the comic everyone's raving about. So yeah, it's an Oni Press comic, and god dang it, it's so good. So good.
So yeah, so
that's not a DC book though. We're talking about Superman.
So I like it.
I like the way that Brian's telling these stories. I like the twists and everything, and like the larger than life scale of Superman specifically. Like what happened, the whole Earth got sucked into the Phantom Zone. Last issue had my favorite sequence of like Adam Strange and Zod like looking at like why is it tiny, and it's like no, it's not. It's coming back into this universe. That's great. Yeah. And in this, I love that like. They are able to pull Superman out. They're like, yeah, we left all your villains there. Like, isn't that a good thing? And it's like
Superman's like, I think so.
Yeah, it is because Zod's a bad person. Yeah. Like, no doubt about it. But, like, I love the thought. Like, they didn't show his thought bubbles, but I love that they had him breaking down, like, that, like, fighting at super speed doesn't mean you have all the time that you normally would think to be able to make decisions, like, really thought out decisions. You kind of just need to react instantly. Yeah. And I love that he's like, I know exactly what I need to say right now to make Zod understand that we're on the same side in this particular fight.
And I also like because he's going for these big, epic, like the text.
Ivan Rice is really good.
The splash pages. And Joe Prado on inks is really impressive as well. And then so like everything's big and epic. And then he gets brought back and everything's just a normal comic. Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, I guess that's done now. Yeah. And then the tease at the end is grown-up-ish Jonathan Kent.
Yeah, I don't know how grown up, but
he looks cool. I was assuming, it looks weird here. It's hard to say. Is it like early 20s, late teens?
Or is perspective weird? I actually really like that his fingers are out of the gloves.
Agreed.
Like that he kind of has like that. Also, there's a lot of like band stuff. Like I like the hip.
I could get rid of a couple of these bands, like specifically the shoulder bands.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
But otherwise, I like the design of this costume.
Yeah, no, it's I really like it, and I really hope that this is just like a. Relativity is all weird. I loved what they finally teased. It's like, yeah, your dad showed up. Remember Jor-El? Like, you should ask him about Rogel. You should ask what this is all about. And that's when John shows up. So it's like, okay, we're going to get to that point. And I'm kind of hoping it's a little bit of time travel shenanigans. We'll get the kid John back. Because I'm not already poo-pooing the story. I just really like the kid John Kent.
I just had a weird thought. What if the whole, instead of like doing a reboot, like a Crisis on Infinite Earths or Flashpoint, what if you had the whole DC line jump ahead 15 years? Mm-hmm. And so you can have issues of Damian and John hanging out for that 15 years, but then in the present, they're adults and we're all just moving on from there.
Yeah, I mean, you could, but like that could be like it's like an ultimate imprint or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel. I do know how I feel. I like it. It does feel a little soon to kind of being like, because this is what you do when you're shuffling off a kid character to like get back to a status quo, and it's like I like Jonathan though.
Yeah, and also Superman being a dad is not a hard story to tell at all because he is a dad.
He's the dad of comics.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And so it shouldn't be like overwhelming to like have to tell that story. It's
Yeah.
like, I get that some people might want to tell a different story, but it's
Yeah,
also
and
like,
that's why you have characters like Supergirl or Connor Kent Superboy, or
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean. Like that allows you that. I don't know, whatever. But I do enjoy this issue. I do like what he's doing. So yeah.
Before we get to the main comic that I read a good amount of, I just wanted to give a shout out to Sideways. I read that. I'm pretty sure you picked that up.
I did pick that up.
They're wrapping this up.
Is it issue 12?
This is issue 11.
I
So
know,
you
but
got
is issue 12 the wrap up?
13.
Okay.
13's the wrap up. So you got 2 more issues. Titans was actually really
It
good.
makes me even more bummed that they did that whole like 7 soldiers.
Such a waste of time.
Yeah, it was one of those like, come on, man.
Yeah, because it seemed like, oh, this is fun. They honestly bungled it. I think
Yeah.
they really, like, that story was, like, way too big. And it's like, there's no jumping on point because I don't even know who these people are.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. But, by the way, Titans is getting ramping up. It's really
Now
good.
that Kyle Rayner's a part of it, I might have to start picking it up because I'm a big fan.
Pick up his issue. And also, they did a cool dig into New 52 territory with Beast Boy being connected to the Red, which maybe was before, but, like...
No, that was a New 52 thing, to the point where his fur was red.
Yeah, I'm glad they made him green again.
Yes.
But it was really cool because at first, like, because he's got a whole, like, thing that he's dealing with, but at one point in the comic, he's like, he like walk in and he's like bleeding out his face, and they're like, what happened? And like all of a sudden he kind of like floods out of him, and it comes this like red web of like veins that like connect him to the wall.
Man too.
But like all of a sudden the Red talks through Beast Boy, and all of it goes away, and he's like, "What happened?" And it's tying up like the Blood Cult, like Brother Blood, Mother Blood, whatever the other characters are, which was great. Justice League Dark.
Travel Foreman did the early issues of Animal Man too, and those were great. Travel Foreman's bumming me out with Electric Warriors, man, because he's usually a really solid artist.
Justice League Dark, you're gonna enjoy that because I know you probably picked that up.
I did.
It's pretty. This story is it. By the way, it finishes off the story it started last issue.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's
so
fine. They cast Blue Devil for the Swamp Thing show.
They did?
They did. Yeah, Blue Devil's gonna be a part of it.
That can be cool.
Yeah.
I picked up Flash. Haven't read it yet. I also picked up Batman Who Laughs, which would have been a good one to read now, because I haven't heard anything about it, but I have heard amazing things from Batman Annual issue number 3. So the last annual was beautiful. It was Lee Weeks, and it was Catwoman and Batman meeting, and it was just so good.
Yeah.
There's one panel of them standing on Wayne Manor, and it's just in the rain, and it's like this like far away minimalist like composition shot. And this one's all about Alfred, and I've heard it's very touching. And
Cool.
Tom King definitely knows how to write. Like, no, it wasn't Tom King, it was Tom Taylor. Tom Taylor wrote the annual, which made me really happy.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to read that. And I picked up Wonder Woman because I want to know more about G. Willow Wilson's a very good writer, obviously. So I want to read more. But I got some fun Marvel books. But the big one this week, like we've been teasing, is Batman Damned.
Batman Damned. We got a comment here talking about Sideways and New 52 Superman. Is he in continuity now? My understanding is he's just Superman. So now that they've made it kind of like a different thing, it's just confusing.
I couldn't give you an answer because he's running around like the multiverse. But yeah. We have.
So we have I almost pressed the wrong button. We have Batman Damned, and this is only a 3-issue series.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I should read it quicker then.
Yeah. So and so this is continuing the last issue's saga, where it's kind of like Constantine narrating. This makes me want to go back to Constantine, because this definitely feels like the Constantine before New 52 and all that stuff. That feels like that character 100%. And Batman dealing with his stuff. It's basically just an excuse to have Batman bounce around with DC's more mystical characters. And I'm into that. And Lee Bermejo's art is amazing. And
this picture of Constantine that you pulled is really, really good.
Yeah, it's good. And it's also one of my favorite little visuals where Batman takes a cigarette and he flicks it off the roof. It's like, I don't know why that was so cool to me, but it seems so cool.
It was really good.
And their dynamic is interesting. And they introduce a new take on the demon as a rapper, which, considering he's a rhyming demon, that actually makes a lot of sense. I don't know if this needs to be the depiction of the demon moving forward in other comics, but here I like the take on it.
I also am a big fan of that. Also, I know they played around with Harley Quinn, and the whole mystery is Joker dead? Did Batman kill the Joker?
Yeah,
and
the things get real messed up with Harley Quinn.
Do you recommend it, or are you happy with
you
it?
know what? I mean, it's... I enjoy it because I like Brian Azzarello's writing and I like Lee Bermejo's art. I don't think it's for everybody. I don't know if I keep needing the whole like fucked up DC world. You know what I mean? Like I've kind of accepted it with Titans. You know what I mean? But I guess that's my limit. You know what I mean? Like I just don't know. Like there's a lot of people saying fuck and somebody almost raped somebody else and it's just, and it's not bad. It's just like I don't know if I need this for my DC Comics. What I would like more of is I kind of wish Batman wasn't a part of it. It was just the mystical characters of the DC, because that's the part that interests me most. Like their take on Deadman's really messed up. It doesn't seem at first, and then you realize like, oh my god, Deadman has some real problems.
Why? Like because he's jumping. So I haven't finished it. You can talk about it.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So while Batman's confronting the demon, a bunch of demon's lackeys pull guns on him. Deadman possesses one of them, and he's like, "I'm going to help you, Batman." And there's a building on fire, and so he runs in to help Batman. And then the person catches fire, and Demon refers to Deadman as a junkie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what that means. And when Deadman's in there, he's like, "Oh, this is great because I finally feel something." So he engulfs this person in flames just to feel something.
Wow.
And it's like that's so. I mean, it's theoretically a criminal, I guess, but it's like that's bad. It's like wow, Deadman's dark, man. And then Harley Quinn tries to rape Batman. So it's like yeah, this is definitely skewing for. I mean, we got Bat Dong on the first issue, so and apparently I follow Liber Mejo on Instagram, and apparently DC editorial had a few changes to this issue after all that. And he's like, I think the solutions we came up with are actually better than what we originally wanted.
Okay, I get it.
So
it's just like you can also let them tell the story. It's like, and it's also advertised as black, like as an adult book.
Yeah, it's also weird. It's weird that became as big a deal as it did.
It didn't need to. It's like when everyone was like, wait, can you see Superman's dick on the Master Race Dark Knight 3? You know, remember like that one where it's like Adam and him? It's like, it's like, do you see the shadow of it?
It's not even a real person. It's not a real dick.
Yeah.
Doesn't actually belong to a real living person. Whatever.
But so where does this rank compared to the first issue?
Same. It's fun, and for me, the most interesting part is seeing these takes on the dark. There's a little bit more Spectre, which is cool. It's just a cool take on the stuff. I really feel like if you wanted to do a Justice League Dark movie or a Shadow Pact movie with these characters, you should use this as like a reference, just for the I really like the way Deadman's physically depicted.
Yeah, all the veins and everything. It's pretty gross.
But it's like the same creative team did the Lex Luthor graphic novel and the Joker graphic novel, and really, if you haven't read Joker, I can't recommend it enough. And this doesn't really stack up to that all that great. But I dig this stuff. So
I get why the pitch was so widely accepted from some people, because it does sound cool. It's like also there's also a cool pitch in there where it's like take Batman out of it and just do the like John Constantine moving through Gotham, and you still have all of the like supernatural characters. Here comes a sneeze.
Make a wish.
I'm just gonna have to live with that inside my shirt.
I get why you do. It's the same reason you put Batman in that Justice League animated movie. It's because Batman moves things, sells things. But it's like, to me, it's kind of like the big Elseworlds crossover too. All the little Batman references interest me less because we've seen that. It's like, oh, there's Cobblepot's name. Yeah, but we've seen like 5 penguins. So it's more the stuff that we haven't seen before. So like the demon as a rapper, that's super interesting to me. You know what I mean?
Deadman using people to feel something in the worst way possible.
You know what? It makes sense. It's just, if you think about it, if you can't feel things and you can feel things, I guess that would be something somebody would do. It's just super dark.
But I'm going to finish that one up, but there's a lot of good DC books, so let us know what you think in the Discord. I'm going to pop over there really quick, but while I do that, tell us about the indie book you picked up.
Yeah, so I also have been picking up Lone Ranger. This is issue 3. This is from, I'm going to see if I can get the name right. Wrong. Hold on. This is from Mark Russell, and Bob Q is the artist, and I've had the pleasure of meeting him at a couple conventions, and he's a great guy. We should try and get him on the show.
Yeah. The art's beautiful.
The art is great. Yeah. So the cover is actually by John Cassaday. So this is interesting because it's dealing with an actual thing that happened in the West. I believe it was called the Barbed Wire Wars, but it's when barbed wire was invented, and so people could start like wiring off their land. And so this comic really dives into the idea of who owns the land. Like, how do you say you own this land? And of course, it ties back to Tonto, because the Native Americans lost their land and all that stuff. And I like, I like the take on everything. It's really smart. It's really interesting. They introduce a new bad guy in this that I think is a really interesting addition. And it does a good job of kind of being grittier, more realistic, but keeping the Lone Rangers kind of like an optimistic do-gooder. And I like the take on Tonto, It does lean into the traditional, like the new traditional, where it's like all the Native Americans are pure and good and nothing's wrong with them and we ruined everything, which feels kind of reductive. But I like that it's like Tonto is just sad. He's just a sad. He's a smart. We have a picture of Tonto. He's smart. He's capable. But he's sad and he has every reason to be sad. And I think it's an interesting way to illustrate their dynamic, because it's a tough dynamic to depict. It's tough to, like, hey, as living now, it's like, how do you tell the story now of Lone Ranger and Tonto and their relationship and what that is?
Yeah, us as a culture kind of growing up and accepting the messed up things we've done. Anyways, but from DC, I wanted to say, Bootstron writes, I read Batman Annual today. It focused on Alfred. Man the Feels, a lot of cry faces. I get you. It's a good one. And also Superman was also good. Shows the return of John Kent, teased as coming for a couple months now. He's big. And then J Shark in italic says, what do you mean big? Which I... gross, but also funny. He's grown up physically big. Yeah, no, for sure. And Zeral also really enjoyed Batman Annual. And we got some talk about the Batman Who Laughs, so I'll make sure I'll tweet out or I'll post in here what my thoughts are on that comic afterwards. I picked up Giant Days, but that's my treat when I read the comics. Like there's some comics I get through where it's like I just kind of want to know the story of this one just because I know it's going to add up to something later. But Giant Days is the one you cap it off with because it's so solid, and I'm very excited about that because that means I got 2 this month. I got the winter special that happened last week. It's when Ed Gemmell, the main character, went to Australia and they found out that his girlfriend, who he goes to school with in England, which they came back to her hometown, and her parents are the mayor and they run everything and they're very influential, but they're great. They're really good politicians. They're making the city green and everything. But his rival they lost to, he has this gang of punk Aussie kids, those big bro guys, and it's so much fun. It's so just charming, and
I like how happy that series makes you.
It's so good, and the whole thing is there's a long running joke where they're gonna have this big Barbie, they're gonna have a big barbecue, and they're yeah, I'm bringing, what did he call it? I gotta look it up. They kept calling it something that made me so made me so happy. They're gonna have this sausage that they're gonna, they call it a snag. They're look, can you whip out this big snag for the barbecue? It's what are you talking about?
What's happening?
And it's every year they make a longer and longer sausage, and eventually it's just wrapped up so much it's this tall, and it's and they have a barbecue that's so hot that you have to have 4 grill masters on it at one time to cook this, and you have to have firemen all around them at one time to you got to make sure that they don't catch fire or just incinerate. It's just a joke, and it's just a fun loving joke, which I really dug. But that was it for indie. But let's hop into Marvel, because I know you picked up a bunch of good books.
I picked up some Marvel stuff. I picked up the Wedding Special, which in hindsight I probably should have read before this because that would be a big one to talk about.
Yeah.
But I read Amazing Spider-Man number 11, which you talked a little bit about how Spider-Man and Jonah's relationship, J. Jonah Jameson's relationship, evolved in that Spectacular Spider-Man run, and they're kind of tackling this, and it seems like another smaller arc like the last one, so I don't know how they're going to resolve it, but it looks like they're kind of building back to J. Jonah Jameson being more of an antagonist for Spider-Man.
Yeah. I don't think you can ever get back to Spider Slayers, because that was a big thing that Peter brings up when they argue in Spectacular Spider-Man. He's you're not a good person.
You know what they do? They do touch on that, because do you mind if I ruin the thing?
Do it up. Yeah.
They get attacked, and they think he's getting kidnapped because of Spider-Man, and then he sees the people that have kidnapped him, and it's all people that J. Jonah Jameson has helped create, like Scorpion.
That's really
and they're
good.
Kidnapping. They're after J. Jonah Jameson.
Oh, that's great. That's really, really good, because also you need to call him out for it. And they call him out in that. So I like that Jonah is now having to address that.
I also like the reference to Scorpion on J. Jonah Jameson's show in the PS4 game. It's yes, I found it out. I didn't know he was going to go crazy and murder.
Now, I really, really, really like Jonah's character in that. But I also picked up As Guardians of the Galaxy, which is only a 6-issue run, which I keep forgetting because it's so much fun. It's such a good book. It's a lot of, in each issue, you're seeing how this kid Loki manipulated all these people to coming together, and he was very good at it. He was very, very good at it.
He is Loki.
And but there's also this kind of sweeter side to him, which I really appreciate, where it's he's bad, but there is a part of him that's he's I don't think, because he's a manifestation of main Loki's whatever, so make him so complicated, but he's I don't even think Loki knows I'm here. He's I'm just trying to do.
Wait,
Oh, trust me.
Kid Loki is separate from Loki?
Yeah, I can't
Cool.
give you an answer to it because it's so confusing. But
I
it's
mean,
like
comics, man.
But the character's fun, so
Yeah.
I'm like, that's all I'm gonna deal with. And like, there's one really sad moment where like Thunderstrike, who's the son of
The Thunderstrike I grew up with.
with Masterson.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, it's
He was Thor when I was a kid.
but he's made his own like basically reverse engineering some Asgardian like tech, and he has his own like hammer and stuff like that.
Dig it.
But he can't like fly around. He just has like this cool like steampunk outfit. And you get these like flashbacks before they got recruited, and his flashback is at the grave of his dad, Eric Masterson. That's who it is. And he's like, I stopped the Wrecking Crew today, and he's like, look, I'll read the reviews. And he starts reading the tweets he got about it, like about like how much property damage he made, and like how like much he got his ass handed to him by these people. And he's like, it's fine. And, like one person was like, hey, it's fine if if Thunderstrike stays dead. And it's like,
wow.
What? He's like, yeah, that one stung.
Yeah.
And he's like talking to his dad's like grave, and he's like, I don't know what to do here. And it's like actually really sad.
That's tough.
But Scourge has been brought back, and his thing is cool. Like his weapon, it's this axe that like if you need to teleport, like you open it and like you walk through the breach, like Sideways basically, but like he can go through the different realms. And one of the best moments is they all get captured by Nova Corps, and they're like being taken somewhere, and they make Throg leave his hammer, and you see like the gladiator, the Shi'ar gladiator, trying to like pick up this little tiny hammer. And one of the best reveals is Scourge opens up a portal, throws Throg through to go get his hammer because it won't like come to him the same way, like whatever, who cares? Like it just all of a sudden you see the Shi'ar looking down, it's like this little tiny frog, and he puts his little like webbed hand on it, and immediately turns into Throg, which is great. And it's just such a fun comic, so I can't be that hard on it. Avengers, you get a Jennifer Walters and Thor date.
Sure.
Which was actually pretty fun, and I think it's finally starting to make sense.
Man, they love pairing off characters because I think the last Avengers run, it was supposed to be female Thor
and Falcon,
and so now it's Thor and She-Hulk, which listen, I get it.
Yeah, and one of the great moments is like, wait, you just wanted to date the Hulk, didn't you? And he's like, no, I want to get to know Jennifer Walters, and it's like getting to know both people. One of the cool aspects that they set up now in the last issue is that the Winter Guard exists, which is like Russia's Avengers.
Okay.
And Ursa Major's on it. And Ursa Major's that big bear thing, and he's absolutely terrifying.
Okay.
And because Black Panther has this, like, in this issue, has a giant, like, round table of superheroes from every country.
Yeah.
And, like, they're trying to talk about, like, how do we help each other? Like, how do we figure this out? Because the U.S. government doesn't want anything to do with the Avengers. It's like, no, I don't want anything to do with them. And Ursa Major makes a big deal to, like, basically poo-poo the entire idea of this. Like, Russia doesn't need you. But also the whole time you see Phil Coulson, who's supposed to be dead right now. He's back, so they're trying to line it up with the show. He's kind of done taking shit from everybody. Like, he's like, I was a super fan. And he's like, that's where it got me in trouble. Like, that's the problem. So he's running the Squadron Supreme right now of America. Yeah. So you get your Justice League of America thing. So you got the Squadron Supreme, you got your Winter Guard, and you got your Avengers.
Did you know that was made off of a deal between at the time the current Avengers writer and the current Justice League writer, where they would have versions. It was the closest they could get to a crossover. So that's when they introduced the what was it called at the time? It wasn't Squadron Supreme, but it was Squadron Sinister, and it was just the versions of Flash, Green Lantern, Speed Demon, I think was Flash, and Hyperion. But then so they did that in Avengers, but then DC was like, no, you can't do that. So it just ended up being the Justice League fighting evil versions of themselves. But like halfway through it, apparently like Batman uses a trash can lid as a shield because it's supposed to be Cap. And then Hawkman, for some inexplicable reason, it's like, I'm tough as iron. You know what I mean?
So silly.
Yeah, which bums me out that we never got a good like analogs to those characters, because it's like the Squadron Supreme's fun, you know?
Sleepwalker, by the way, finished off, and that was the best part of Infinity Wars, honestly, because it's just so much fun. There's this, because he's going through all the Infinity Stones, so everything changes, and it's all like he has to be really creative about how he gets out of this. And like the Space Stone, it's like you have to find in each of these worlds what would be the core manifestation of like that, what that stone is.
Gotcha.
And in the Space Stone, when he pops up in there, it's endless because it's a Space Stone, and he's like. And since he's like a creature that is more like imaginary, a physical distance like that he actually has to physically go across, it like gives him anxiety. He's like, I don't know what to do with this. And the way they have to like kind of comic booky ways of figuring out. One of the best moments though is he falls into like a continuity area where like there's like this librarian and he's like, oh, do you want like a crossover? And she pulls out Infinity Wars and the Sleepwalker like first issue, and he's like, what is this? And it's like, it's just this place where all the stories are kept. That's and nice. Like, and it's all, he's like, yeah, if you guys want the tie-ins, they're over here. And it's like, what are you talking about? This is so weird,
shit, man.
But Sleepwalker ended, and it's like, and it's
I should have picked it up, man.
It's really fun.
I remember being really fascinated by that character when I was a kid.
It's really good. Yeah. I really like it. I really dug it. And what were the other ones I read? X-Men Red, it's the end, which is a bummer. Black Panther I picked up as well. And that's it.
And you picked up Miles Morales?
I did. Oh, duh. Yeah, that's the big one we want to talk about. Yeah, it's Saladin Ahmed and the artist is a talented boy. I'm gonna
a talented boy. He's such a talented boy. We all just want to be talented. While he's looking up that talented boy, here's some more of his talent.
There's some talent.
Man, Miles has a cool costume.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. It's the Fingies. I think it's the Fingies.
You think you know what?
The Fingies are really cool.
You know the Ben Reilly costume that I'm a big fan of? Mm-hmm. Also has the Fingies.
The Fingies
so there's
are
something
really cool.
There's something about them Fingies, you know?
Why can't I find this? Did you read this issue?
No,
just wondering. So it's a team up between him and between Miles and Rhino, and it's really good. Javier Garron. Yeah, he's very talented.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. One of my favorite Spider-Man. Probably my favorite Spider-Man story of all time is focused on the Rhino.
Mm-hmm. He's very good in this. I really like. It's just like kind of setting the stage of like he's in high school. Let's have some fun with like him being in high school, and like they establish he got bit.
Is he in high school in Spider-Verse?
Middle school. He's in middle school.
Cool.
Yeah,
because he was originally in.
Yeah, and he's like, I forgot how super young he was in the first comic, which is fine. Yeah. He's had it for a long time, and now he's an adult, and he's a teenager, but he's older, so it's like you can have more mature stories. And in this, it's like, oh yeah, they set up that he has like kind of a girlfriend, kind of like not a serious one, but it's like this, like, it's this fun, like kind of like flirtatious thing, and him like hanging out with her cousin who's in town, but also they get to lean into his Latino side, and like he like speaks Spanish, which is great. Like, he's like, I can do it like a little bit. Like he's like, and maybe he'll do more in the future. But the whole thing is that kids are disappearing, and they're being turned into these like super soldier things. Actually, let me see if there's a. No, we don't have a picture of that, but we can show this picture of Miles as a kid, which is cute. But they're being turned into these like soldier things, and Rhino's there because he's trying to find his niece. And so they end up they fight, and then they end up teaming up. But one of the coolest lines of this entire issue is like he's like, with great power comes great responsibility. And then he's like going around, he's helping people, but then he goes by a homeless shelter and he sees that kids are going in there to like get like find anything with their parents. And he's what was the line? Let me see if I can find it here. He's never been sure about my power, but what he says is, I'm Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and I've never been more sure of my power. But I've never been more confused about my responsibility. And it's like, that's really good, because it's like, if you want to switch him up from Peter, it's like, what does he mean? Yeah. What does he mean to his community and to the people in his life? And like, like a lot of people, like, it's representation. Like, he gets to be the Spider-Man who is also black and he's Latino, but also, I don't know, he can go through different, like, he's from different universes. Like, there's all these different stories you can tell with him, and that makes him really dynamic. But it's also cool to like dive into what that means specifically for him and not just the reader. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think Miles got caught up a lot, and I hope the movie helps with this. He got caught up a lot in what he represents outside of his own story. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping now, especially with the success of the movie, we just get to let him be. And it's honestly, it's a major reason I want him to be back on his own Earth, because I don't want him to be the Black Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I want him to be Spider-Man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's just Spider-Man.
And Peter's not dying ever, so you can't.
Exactly. He will always come back unless Miles gets to be in his own universe. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then that Spider-Man gets to stay dead. Or honestly, I would prefer this, whatever. He can just retire. He can just go be happy with Mary Jane, and then Miles can take up the mantle. You know what I mean?
And also, you can just do the stories where it's like he can still be on the Champions. He just got one of his watches, you know, like the jumps dimensions.
They do that shit all the time in Flash, and you can do it for Champions. Come on.
By the way, like, we wouldn't buy a Spider-Man comic all the time. Like, they've done a series, but what if you did an ongoing series with Peter and Miles?
Even if it was an anthology and you just stopped in and whatever.
Why not? Like, but why wouldn't you?
But I do like the idea of I'm hoping the movie helps, because it's tough to say, but the truth is stuff like movies help solidify what a character represents. Kind of like Batman has always kind of had a no kill, especially because of the what was the ratings board for comics back in the day? Anyway, all that stuff.
Oh, wait, they put it in the Spider-Verse movie.
Yes, they did. Oh my gosh.
The comics approval board?
Yeah, like whatever. That. But part of the reason why it's so pressed in brain is the Nolan trilogy. You know what I mean? These movies help solidify how the population sees those characters. So I'm hoping Spider-Verse helps, like, one, calcify, inspires writers to, like, this is who Miles is. outside of just not being Peter Parker. But also I hope it keeps Miles around. Like it keeps, because there's a lot of characters that replaced fan favorites that I grew up with that now have once again been replaced by the original people. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen to Miles because he has a damn movie now. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, he's kind of beaten like Kyle Rayner and other characters like
that. We almost got there with George Miller's Justice League because Barry was supposed to die in that, and Wally West was supposed to become Flash.
But you still got everybody else though.
Yeah, but now Wally West is backburnered. Anyway, I think this is a good week. I think it was a good week of comics.
And if you guys are excited about Spider-Verse, definitely pick up Miles Morales and let me know what you think in the Discord, which you can join, which you're already part of the Patreon. So just connect a lot of people ask me like, hey, can you give me the code to join the Discord? It's like, that is actually not how it works on our end. You have to connect your Discord account on Patreon. You go to Patreon, connect the account, and you automatically get added. Just so you guys know, not helpful at the end of the episode because most of you guys have tuned out, but just so you know.
Yeah. That's why you should stay tuned for the whole. And we're going to be talking about Spider-Verse more in our main episode.
Oh yeah, super excited. So if you're watching live, stay tuned.
Yeah. See you then.
Bye-bye.